consultant at Boston Consulting Group, then co-founded a company called Get Made, an on-demand home cleaning service. Who doesn't need that? Then co-founded, which was required, which led him to the opportunity to work with Google on the search ads product management team. Welcome, Stephen Gutentag. For the benefit of that side of the audience, I think we should probably sit over here. Oh, do you have slides?
No.
Okay. So I have a few questions to kind of get the ball rolling here, and then we'll open it up to the audience as well. So for the benefit of the audience, can you cover briefly what is Cove and what is Keeps?
Yeah, so, and maybe even starting at a high level, what is 39 in the company that launched them. We're focused on expanding access to high quality specialized care and affordable treatment options for people who suffer from chronic health issues. And our approach is that we take one chronic health issue at a time. We go really deep into the condition to understand how is it being treated today? What is the experience a patient goes through from the time of just getting educated about it through getting diagnosed, seeing a doctor, getting treated, managing the condition, and what potential outcomes might be. And then we step back and we build a end-to-end or full-service experience around the condition so that if you're someone who is going through that health issue, we can be the one-stop shop to manage it from start to finish. And then we build a brand around that health condition that we then take direct to the consumer. One, so that we can build that relationship on an ongoing basis, so that we can speak in a way that's approachable and connect with them, how they're interacting, whether it's online or offline today. But then also so that we can build a really tight feedback loop between us, the patient, and the physician, so that we can work with them over time to deliver a really high quality standard of care at an affordable price point and hopefully yield to really positive outcomes. And so the first iteration of this and the first brand that we launched was Keeps. And so Keeps is focused on men's hair loss. And it's really, if you're a guy who's starting to lose your hair, there's not really a better place to go than Keeps to manage it. And what that means is access to education about the problem in plain English. It's a specialized telemedicine visit on our website that we built in conjunction with some of the leading hair loss experts in the country. It's access to FDA-approved treatments. These are the same types of treatments that you may be able to find at a leading national pharmacy. When you buy them through us, they're under the Keeps label, delivered directly to your door for about 40% of the price. And then we ship them on an ongoing basis, and we've built tools and content to help you build habit, start to adhere to your treatment regimen, stay connected with your doctor through the platform to ask any follow-up questions, as well as progress tracking tools. So the photos you take in your initial consultation, we prompt you to take them periodically over time so that you're actually able to see the progress overlaid over time so that you can actually know if it's working or not. We launched that in January of 2018. That has been scaling quite rapidly across the country. And then on the same platform that powers Keeps, in December of last year, we launched our second brand, Cove, building on the capabilities we developed for Keeps, but also adding new ones, building a dedicated experience around our second chronic health condition, which is migraines. And similar experience, obviously highly tailored to that condition. So education on our site via content in plain English, specialized telemedicine visit, this time built in conjunction with leading neurologists and headache experts, access to a range of FDA-approved treatments for both acute pain relief as well as prevention, and migraine tracking tools so that you can understand the impact of your treatment regimen on the frequency and severity of your migraines and communicate with your doctor through our platform to adjust your treatment regimen if it's not working for you to help you get on one that will. And over time as a company, we'll continue to build these dedicated end-to-end experiences around other chronic health issues.
So it is a mostly direct-to-consumer, direct-to-patient model.
It's 100% direct-to-consumer.
Got it.
So we go and we market online, we market offline, direct to customers. It's really interesting for Keeps, for example, 2 out of 3 guys before the age of 35 will start to go through hair loss. But traditionally, most of the customers in the category have been above the age of 35. And that was often due to marketing, due to price points. And for us, what we found in the last year, about 80% of our customers have never tried either of the treatments that we offer, despite the fact that both have been on the market for 20 plus years. And the average age is in their late 20s and early 30s. For Cove, it's slightly different demographic, obviously.
Yeah. So share with the audience, from your perspective, what are some of the advantages of dealing in a direct-to-consumer market in healthcare, and maybe a few of the disadvantages as well?
Yeah, so I think there's a number of things that it enables you to do, especially in like 2019, that weren't possible before. One is you are able to create an experience and scale that experience quite rapidly when you're going to the customer directly, as opposed to having to distribute through other providers to eventually get to the customer. Mm-hmm. So when we launched in late January of last year, we were able to start marketing online, on social media, where customers are looking on Google. We also, over the last year, have been able to expand our advertising to traditional models like television and audio. But when we market, we're able to actually tell someone to go directly to the site and have an immediate transaction at that point. So we understand the ROI and value of our marketing by channel. And what that allows you to do is then when you see something that's working, you can spend a lot more and scale it really, really fast. Mm-hmm. So we've been able to go from doing nothing to shipping in the hundreds of thousands of products in less than 10 months after launch. Right. And then you couple that with the fact that by building that brand and going direct to consumer, in healthcare, it's actually really great because then you can build this direct relationship with the end patient. And having that direct relationship and having the ability to connect with them on an ongoing basis over the course of years is obviously really valuable, whether it's from a data collection perspective, whether it's having a tighter feedback loop with the physician and us so that they can get a really positive outcome faster. Obviously, downsides of this is that it requires a whole new distribution model. You're really beholden to finding your customers, making sure you're consistently meeting them where they are and knowing where they are, and then you have to commit to that ongoing relationship. So it's not something that can be transactional, particularly in healthcare. Right. And then the second biggest piece is that there's obviously in healthcare a lot of regulation, and rightfully so, and you have to navigate that a lot more carefully when you're marketing direct to the patient. You're building that relationship, and you have to be really thoughtful about that.
What are some of the consumer trends you're seeing that are impacting your business as well?
Yeah, so I think we're a relatively new business. Our first brand launched 14 months ago. And I think there are a number of consumer trends that led to even the launch of the business, and that have only continued to grow. And so one is that more and more people today, they don't have, especially people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, they don't have a primary care physician that they build a relationship with over the course of 20 plus years. They go to and they become their central point of contact. You've seen a rise in urgent care centers as sort of a response to this. And that's great if you have an acute illness. When you have a health condition that you need to manage on an ongoing basis, it's more and more confusing for someone to find a place that's going to help them. You have to oftentimes connect the dots as a consumer between a primary care doctor, a specialist, your insurance company, your pharmacy, the treatment itself. And if you're an expert in this, it's confusing. If you're just a patient who's trying to solve your health issue, it becomes almost like a dehumanizing experience. And I think if you couple that trend with the fact that more and more people are on high deductible plans, and previously, if you had a bad healthcare experience and you went through all of this and you paid a $10 or $20 copay, you would say, well, that was not a great experience, but I'll put up with it because it was only $10 and they helped me solve my problem. When you're now paying $100 or $150 out of pocket for a doctor visit, and then you're paying $50 to $150 a month for your treatments, you don't think about it as just a healthcare visit. You think about it as like you think about any consumer purchase. And you start to think about it as a consumer decision, and you want to spend your money in a place that's going to deliver a really good experience for you. And what we found alongside them, you all right?
Good. I'm trying to tap Josh, turn down my mic. Sorry. Go ahead.
No worries. And so when you think about it as a consumer experience, then what happens is patients start to think about, well, what are the other experiences they get? And we're in a world where you can go and pretty much purchase anything online and have it delivered to your door in 2 days, or you can press a button anywhere in the world and have a car show up and take you wherever you need to go in a matter of minutes. And so patients start to think about a experience as opposed to just a purchase, and they think about this end-to-end experience. And so I think that's really something that drives us forward a lot. I think an example of this is if you think about just a typical patient experience of someone who, for example, is suffering from migraines, and the traditional process the traditional process versus Cove. With Cove, you can be at the office. During your lunch break, you can complete the consultation on our website in 10 minutes from your phone. Within a few hours, you'll have a doctor who will respond to you through our platform. They can ask follow-up questions if they need them. Otherwise, based on the information you provide, they're able to actually make a diagnosis and prescribe and issue treatment that then can arrive at your home within a few days. And then you can stay in touch with the doctor through that same site, actually track your migraines through that and relay that information back to your doctor and already start on a plan. That's with us, that's in a matter of days. During that same time period, the traditional model, you might still be calling different neurologists to book an appointment and see if they accept your insurance.
Right.
And so you can actually have the full problem addressed and solved and be done within a matter of minutes.
And you mentioned the phone. How is mobile driving efficiencies for both your, I guess, clients as well as your company as well?
So I don't think our business would exist without mobile. So the vast majority of our patients and our customers not only come to our site on their phone, but actually complete the full transaction on their phone, the vast majority. And I think if you thought about the early days of telemedicine, where you would go on your computer and you would have a live video chat with a doctor, and you would have, I think if you asked everyone in this room about getting your computer webcam to work properly in a meeting on time and efficiently, and having the connection stay stable for a 10 or 15 minute video chat is something that maybe you're like 1 in 10 likely to have. I think from someone who's 5 years old to 85 years old is familiar with FaceTime at this point on their phones and the ability to video chat, and it just works. And with the phone, our form of telemedicine, whether it's with Keeps, and we ask you to answer questions and type in some answers, but also you upload photos. With Cove, similarly, you're answering questions, and then you're uploading essentially guided selfie videos where you're doing a few tasks so that our doctors can test for neurological, cognitive, and motor functions. And you can do all that from your phone. And then the other piece so that just helps enable the telemedicine piece and have it delivered. But the other really big thing is that this is not just a single transaction that you then are done with. This is an ongoing relationship, and people always have their phones on them. And so having the tracker and the ability to message and chat your doctor through our service and have that tracker on you in real time just enables a level of care that's not possible today. Because if we've all had those experiences where if you have conditions you're managing and you go to see a doctor maybe once every 6 months at best, and they ask how you're feeling, and you relay how you're feeling over the last 2 weeks because you don't really remember how you were feeling 3 months ago.
4 months ago.
I had this one issue. Whereas here, because you have the phone and it's simple to just, when I have a migraine, for example, note it down, did I take a medication, and did it help? And that data is continuously feeding back to your doctor, so you don't have to have a 6-month check-in. It's a continuous relationship so that they can actually work with you. And maybe you had a really bad week 4.5 weeks in, or 2 weeks after that normal 6-month check-in is actually when something came up that you really need to address it. And so you have that constant relationship and access that really wasn't possible without having a mobile device connected to the internet.
Right. Okay, great. I'm going to open it up to the floor here for questions. I'm going to grab the mic in the back. If you have a question, raise your hand. I'm coming to you first, Zoe, but let me get the... let me come in. Mic.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, I am so fascinated by your company. I've been kind of following along since you guys launched DTC stuff last January, a year ago last January. I'm really interested in the mechanics of the telehealth part of it primarily. So, are there dedicated physicians? What is the response time? How does it work in terms of compliance and persistency?
Yeah.
Those to me seem like the trickier questions, right? In terms of having that resource always available. So how are you guys navigating that?
Yeah, it's a really great question. So there's a few components to this. There's the real world setup of the actual network of physicians, and then there's the technology piece to it. So on the real world side, there are independent medical groups that have been set up around the country. We use an asynchronous form of telemedicine, so it's not live video chat. It's the technical term is store and forward. So you're completing a diagnostic evaluation and dynamic questionnaire, and then you're uploading either photos or videos alongside that. And then a doctor is able to review the full packet at once. So we have these medical groups that we set up, and physicians work directly through the medical group to see patients through this telemedicine platform. And these are a mix of dermatologists, neurologists, general practitioners, internists. It's a generalist medical group. And many of them will do this alongside their primary practice or private practice or as a hospitalist. Some are more and more, we get outreach from physicians who are moving away from traditional care and exclusively moving towards telemedicine. And then we have the digital piece to this. And so they're providing their evaluation. They're completely independent from us in terms of how they're not only compensated, but also how they operate and are managed. On the digital side, and the way that we manage this is, so we've built our own proprietary platform that our physicians use to both see patients, manage their patient record, as well as have an ongoing conversation with them. And what's really special is because we build these dedicated experiences around conditions, when you come to Keeps, the evaluation is explicitly around hair loss. You're not going to Keeps if you have a sinus infection. You're going there specifically for hair loss. If you have migraines, you're going to go to Cove for migraines. So the consultation that we're building and the framework that the questions are based on, we work with the top experts, the other leading neurologists at everything from NYU and Johns Hopkins to top hair loss experts for Keeps to develop the diagnostic framework. So the questions are based on this framework that we build in conjunction with some of the leading experts. And then on the back end and the tool that our physicians use, we structure the information, particularly around helping them evaluate that condition. We can automatically highlight red flag symptoms. We can automatically highlight if they've taken medications and responded well to those before and help guide those, as well as have build a process flow in this telemedicine experience and physician's portal that they're using that enables them to really efficiently review the information and provide back a consistent message. So we can create automated templates that have merge tags based on what the doctor is recommending and attach to that the treatment regimen. And they can tailor it, obviously, and they do, depending on the individual patient. But a lot of it is just about making sure that we're collecting the right information. And because it's asynchronous and it's a consultation that is a dynamic questionnaire, we're collecting the same information every single time. And so we're always collecting the same information in the same structured manner, which also, from a physician who's reviewing it, makes it really easy for them to see the full picture. And obviously, in some cases, they need to ask follow-up questions, and they can do that through the portal. They can then make a recommendation. The patient can ask any follow-up questions and then approve before the medication actually ships. So they have that opportunity as well to have that dialogue, both before, but then on an ongoing basis after as well.
I have one follow-up question. So they're two very different disease categories.
Yeah.
I mean, I consider they're obviously both symptomatic, but one of them is symptomatic kind of slowly over the course of many years that you're losing your hair. The other one is acute. So, and speaking as a 30 years of migraine suffering myself. So how does that dialogue work for that acute migraine sufferer who, is feeling a migraine coming on and is reaching out to their healthcare team because it's asynchronous? So how is that working? Are they assigned someone? Is it the same person?
Yeah.
It's like are you calling your doctor? Like, hey doc, I'm really struggling. Can you send me more medicine right now? Like, what is that interaction like for the patient?
Yeah, so when you're having the acute moment, assume that you've already you wouldn't come to us if you're having an acute moment right now for a telemedicine visit. If you did and you had an emergency, the doctor would obviously tell you to dial 911 or go to the emergency room. But if you have a relationship with a physician, generally we try to keep you with that same physician over time and have that ongoing support. We also have a dedicated care team alongside that you can call at any time. So if the doctor is not able to respond immediately, they can also try to have a second physician help out, which is the benefit of the telemedicine platform. When you do have an acute moment and you do want to have access to a physician and you message them, the response times are actually fairly quick. In a traditional hospital setting, you might call, especially if it happens on the weekend, you probably won't hear back until Monday. With us, you typically get a response within 24 hours. Most on an initial consultation, it's often within single-digit hours. And so you're getting a response fairly quickly. And then again, and a doctor can work with you over that time to help you understand, okay, is this something where you should go see an emergency? Is this the worst headache you've ever had? Is this different than your other migraines? Do you want to talk about adjusting your treatment regimen if the acute medication that you're taking is not there? And so on and so forth.
We've got a question over here, and then Audrey will be next. Go ahead.
Hi. I'm also fascinated by the platform. I work in the migraine space. I'm interested from the economics of your farming to manufacturing. Have you had to work with them because the application seems to be more treatments.
Yeah.
So it's interested to see how to work with ePharma from a brand perspective.
Yeah. It's a great question. So I can't say anything, obviously, specifically. We launched with 8 different treatment options that were all generic. They're a mix of acute pain relief and preventative medications that have been on the market for a long time. Our business and our platform is does not require generic options and can work with branded options. Today, we offer a self-pay model completely, and so we work directly with manufacturers to source the treatments that we offer and turn around and are able to sell those direct to the consumer. So the price points that we offer for at least the generics are often equal to or less than even a copay if you have insurance. But again, with the rising number of people who are on high deductible health plans, where even when new branded drugs come out on the market, if they get on formulary for their respective insurance provider, typically they're either only going to be covered if you're 15 plus migraines a month, for example, or you've tried and had seen success with several of the treatments that we offer. And so there's a very large percentage of the market that would be interested in and open to paying out of pocket, not necessarily the current pricing that is offered today, but somewhere in the middle for treatments like this, or where, especially if their insurance, frankly, won't cover it, or will force them to suffer for the next 6 to 12 months through treatments that they believe will not work before covering it. And so in the future, we do believe that there's an opportunity to offer this. We're also in the future it's not like we would never offer and work with insurance companies to ensure that we do that. The goal of the platform and the brand is to be the best place to go to manage your condition. And so we don't choose specific medications and say we're going to exclude these other ones because our goal over time is to be able to offer the range of treatments, both medical as well as just the ability to track or have education and information so that you're able to really best treat the condition depending on the level of severity, where you are in your personal journey, as well as what the right treatment option is for you.
Physicians, sorry, yeah, will the physician actually make treatment recommendations without, I'm sorry if I missed this, but with their providers that are already seeing oncologists, will the online physician be working make a treatment decision without consulting with the existing oncologists?
It depends on that patient. The fact is that most patients today who are suffering from migraines are not seeing a neurologist on a regular basis, especially the ones that are coming to our site. At best, they go to an urgent care center when they have an issue come up and they don't have that ongoing access to care. We're really fortunate, obviously, in New York to have world-leading neurologists on almost every other street corner. In many parts of the country, the closest neurologist may be an hour or two's drive away, and the earliest you can see them is 60 days later. And so for the vast majority of people, that would be an amazing luxury if they had a neurologist that they were seeing in person.
Okay, one final question and no add-on.
No add-on. That was a great setup, though. I'm just interested as healthcare sort of changes so that the consumer is actually seeking out that entry point into healthcare and deciding whether that's a PCP or a specialist or an online service like yourself. How do you see your business model growing for things that aren't as easy to self-diagnose, like hair loss or migraines, with chronic conditions that might require interactions with a physician to set up the diagnosis, and then the management sort of is handed off to your program?
Yeah, so today there's a reason why we're tackling certain conditions first, and over time we'll expand where we believe we can best serve patients. I think you're going to see a few things happen over the next even 5 to 10 years, but if you think 15 years from now, more and more there's going to be a shift. Most patients today will go see a doctor first, in person. And that is the model that has worked for decades. As technology gets better, not only mobile, but as devices like your watch, and it has better sensors, and you have a lot more ability to remotely monitor and actually provide, or have devices that get shipped and can be kept at someone's home and have a connection to their phone or the internet that then can relay information. What you're going to see is that the number of conditions and the types of conditions that will be able to be opened up and treated through telemedicine is going to continue to only grow. I think 5 or 10 years from now, you'll start to see this shift where today a lot of the reasons why someone goes to a physician in person probably could actually be treated online. And it would be much more affordable both for the individual, for the overall healthcare system. And so you'll start to see a shift where in a lot of cases, people will actually, their first thought is, can I resolve this online? And then if not, I'll go see someone in person, as opposed to the other way around. And then you think about the level of trust that happens. When we first were launching Keeps, for example, by the way, in 2017, we were prepping and we're having these conversations with doctors and people in the healthcare system. They told us, oh, you can't diagnose hair loss online. That's just not healthy. That's not safe. You won't be able to do that. And a year later, when we were launching Cove, we heard, oh, hair loss is super easy. Of course you can diagnose that online. You can't do that for migraines. It's impossible. It's so much harder. And so I think people's perception of what they think can be treated online changes a lot faster. And it wouldn't surprise me that 10 or 15 years from now, there will be forms of cancer that people will feel comfortable getting diagnosed and ordering treatment solely online. That today that would seem absurd. Yeah.
Great. That's all we have time for that. Stephen, thank you very much. It was very interesting.